The pre-dawn hush over Moscow shattered on October 12, 2025, as a swarm of Ukrainian drones descended on the capital's power grid, unleashing a barrage that plunged swaths of the city into darkness and ignited explosions that echoed like thunderclaps across the frozen Moskva River. It was 3:15 a.m. when the first impacts registered, low-yield detonations at the Chegino substation in the southeast, a critical node feeding electricity to millions in the new Moscow district. Eyewitness videos, time-stamped and surging across Telegram channels, captured the scene, a streak of fire arcing from the sky, followed by a muffled boom that lit the skeletal towers in a brief, hellish glow. Sparks cascaded like a faulty fireworks display, and within minutes, transformers overloaded, sending plumes of acrid smoke billowing into the autumn chill. "The lights just vanished," posted Maria Volkov, a nurse peering from her Lubertsy high-rise, her phone's flashlight beam cutting through the sudden void. By 3:45 a.m., cascading failures rippled outward, blacking out 1.2 million households from the MKAD ring road to the city's core, where the Kremlin's spires stood sentinel in unnatural shadow. The assault, dubbed Grid Eclipse by anonymous Ukrainian military sources, marked a surgical escalation in Kyiv's campaign to mirror Russia's winter of disruption tactics. Over 60 drones, FPV models retrofitted with precision GPS and anti-jamming tech, probed Moscow's defenses, with 28 confirmed hits on 3 key substations, Chegino, Novogirivo, and a secondary relay near Domodedovo airport. Russian air defenses, bolstered by recent S-400 reallocations from the Caucasus, downed 112 incoming threats nationwide, but the grid's vulnerabilities, exposed in prior probes, proved fatal. Satellite thermal imaging from commercial providers like Maxar, scrubbed and shared by OSINT collectives, revealed hotspots flaring at Chegino, a 50-meter crater where a drone's thermobaric payload vaporized cabling, igniting a fire that chewed through insulators and tripped breakers across the grid. Secondary blasts at Novogirivo hurled debris into adjacent rail lines, halting Metro 2 lines and stranding overnight workers in echoing tunnels. In the south, Domodedovo's relay station suffered a direct hit, its cooling towers buckling under the force, forcing airport closures and diverting flights to Kazan amid flickering runway lights. Chaos unfurled in the blackout's wake, transforming Moscow's orderly arteries into veins of panic. Sirens pierced the night from Lubertsy to the upscale Rublyovka enclave, where oligarchs' gated compounds lost their humming generators to overloaded circuits. Traffic lights died at major intersections, sparking pileups on the Garden Ring, dozens of fender benders by 4:30 a.m., with horns blaring in futile protest. Emergency services, hampered by darkened streets, relied on flares and vehicle spotlights, ambulances navigated by GPS alone, racing to reports of falls in unlit stairwells and carbon monoxide leaks from idling cars. One clip, viewed 2 million times on X before censors scrubbed it, showed a family in Vidnoy fumbling with candles as their infant wailed, the baby's monitor silenced by the surge. Power restoration crews, 500 strong from Rossity, swarmed the sites under National Guard escort, their cherry pickers silhouetted against dying embers. Yet progress crawled. Chegino's fires raged for hours, fed by leaked transformer oil, while Novogirivo's damage required full rewiring, delaying relief until midday. The human ledger filled with grim inevitability as dawn grayed the sky. Moscow health officials reported 14 fatalities by noon, 7 from a gas explosion in a darkened Podol's apartment when residents lit matches too soon, 4 electrocuted by exposed lines at Chegino, and 3 first responders overcome by fumes at the relay station. Over 300 injuries poured into overwhelmed ERs, burns from arcing wires, concussions from debris, and respiratory distress in smoke-choked zones. Among the dead was Alexei Ivanov, a 61-year-old grid technician whose team arrived first at Novogirivo. His body, charred and still clutching a voltmeter, was pulled from the wreckage hours later. His daughter's plea on V Contacta, "Papa fixed the lights for everyone, who fixes him," cut through the official silence. In the blackout's fringe, Belgorod, already reeling from parallel strikes, saw 2 more perish when hospital ventilators failed, their deaths a domino in the grid's collapse. Evacuations swept 20,000 from high-risk areas, buses idling on diesel fumes to ferry the elderly to lit shelters in the city center, where generators hummed like besieged fortresses. Raw footage from the onslaught, disseminated via encrypted VPNs and smuggled abroad, etched the night's fury into digital permanence. Drone cams, hacked from civilian models, showed the lead UAV dipping low over the Yuzhnoye substation perimeter, evading Pantsir radar before unleashing its load in a bloom of white phosphorus that seared conduits. Ground-level reels from Chegino workers captured the instant, a horizon flash, then the substation's lattice buckling like a felled giant, arcs of blue electricity dancing in protest before the plunge to black. Ukrainian operators, broadcasting from mobile units in Sumy, claimed 80% hit rate, their payloads calibrated for EMP-like disruption without nuclear fallout, Western-sourced jammers ensuring the drones ghosted through electronic nets. President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a 5 a.m. video from Kyiv's war room, linked the strike to Russia's October 10 barrage that felled 9 in the capital and gutted 30% of Ukraine's grid. They darkened our winter, we eclipsed their empire. Every blackout in Moscow is a candle for Kharkiv's fallen. His defiance, laced with grainy maps of reciprocal targets, rallied a nation braced for Moscow's riposte. This grid assault crowned a month of aerial brinkmanship, where Ukraine's drone output, now 60,000 units monthly from clandestine Kharkiv fabs, had inverted the terror equation. Since the September 12 oil terminal raid that idled Crimea's Feodosia depot, Kyiv's strikes have chipped 15% off Russia's energy throughput, echoing hits on Orenburg refineries and Bryansk depots. The October 12 op dwarfed the prior week's 251 drone wave over Crimea and Belgorod, where power flickered for 100,000 after substation taps. Economists at the Kyiv School of Economics tallied the night's sabotage at $450 million, lost generation, repair crews, and cascading halts to metro and airport ops. For Moscow, reliant on a $2 trillion war economy, it was a chokehold on the veins pumping fuel to Donbass meat grinders, where advances stalled amid fuel rationing whispers from conscript leaks. Russia's retort, a midnight missile salvo on October 11 that scarred Zaporizhia's grid anew, killing one and blacking out Chernobyl's cooling pumps, a vicious loop of mutual sabotage as winter loomed. Muscovites, cocooned in propaganda's bubble, tasted the war's bile for the first time in months. X-threads, before algorithmic throttling, swirled with fury, state amplifiers branding it Zelensky's blackout terror, while underground chats dissected regime lapses, memes of Putin fumbling in the dark racking illicit shares. Fleeting vigils lit Pushkin Square with phone screens, light for peace, dispersed by Oman in pre-dawn sweeps. The Kremlin, in a 7 a.m. briefing, spun minimalism, temporary glitches from NATO provocations, vowed proportional symmetry via Foreign Minister Lavrov, whose veiled a scandal. Threats chilled NATO's Brussels night. Emergency NATO conclaves pledged $200 million in grid hardening kits to Kyiv, while U.S. envoys in Geneva floated energy truce talks, Trump-era diplomats eyeing a drone détente to avert nuclear whispers. Yet for border hamlets like Kursk's outskirts, where a parallel drone clipped a nuclear relay in August, the rhetoric dissolved in the cold, families bundling in woolens, generators sputtering on black market diesel. Resilience, that stubborn Ukrainian export, threaded the blackout's gloom. Rossity volunteers, augmented by Siberian linesmen airlifted overnight, jury-rigged mobile substations by 10 a.m., flickering lights back to 60% of the grid. Community hubs in Lyubertsy brimmed with shared batteries and samovars, neighbors trading tales of the buzz, like ghost hornets, evading the stars. A busker near Red Square, strumming under emergency floods, chopped a circuit board phoenix on pavement. Darkness falls, but we recharge. For Kyiv's drone smiths, toasting in Lviv basements, it was payback's pulse, retribution for the 450 drone hell of October 10 that orphaned Zaporizhia's youth. The grid hit signaled doctrine's death. No longer mere raids, but systemic siege, where Ukraine's ingenuity outpaced Moscow's iron. By vespers on October 12, as sodium lamps stuttered alive, Moscow exhaled raggedly. Helicopters doused Chagino's embers with crimson cascades, streets sweeping glass under sodium haze. Cafes reopened to queues for charged phones, patrons murmuring over scorched feeds. Scars etched deep. A toddler's crayon blackout monster taped to a substation fence, wilting lilies at Ivanov's memorial. The strike hadn't toppled towers, but it had democratized dread, Kremlin courtiers now rationing lumens like Donbass refugees. Global tremors followed. Brent crude spiked 5% on supply jitters, Beijing's Xinhua probing, energy parity's peril. EU wind farms pledged to Ukraine's grid, a bulwark against the freeze. Clean up unearthed drone relics, silicon guts laced with Starlink code, payloads reduced to slag mocking Cyrillic seals. Barred IAEA teams pieced proxy reports from exiles, charting a war's viral spread. In Odessa's fabs, welders plotted, Eclipse 2, in bunkered war rooms, FSB redlined radar grids, hubris humbled by hobbyist hacks. October 12's shadows would lift, but the circuit's break lingered, a harbinger that in this drone-lit fray, power's true outage was illusions. The ripple widened. Warsaw's intercepted saboteurs hinted hybrid ghosts, Denmark's CV-90s rerouted with jammer payloads. As Putin pledged, grid sovereignty, subsidies, tying it to air glitch, fables, the farce stung, the bear, blinking in the void. For the ensnared, Moscow's grid-weary commuters, Kyiv's bundled kin, the calculus was visceral. War's algorithmic age had wired mutual eclipse, each spark a node toward nadir. The assault, unyielding, wired onward, each hum a harbinger of horizons where light, long commandeered, flickered free.